Good morning. I don't know where Christy is, but I guess I can do it, huh? Good morning. Welcome to The Rock. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Everybody having a good morning? I am. Okay, so if you're new to The Rock, we have these things up here called the welcome cards, and they're pretty self-explanatory. You just fill them out. And we also have the prayer card on the back. If you need any prayer, you can grab them and fill them out. And these will go in the offering boxes that are located on both sides. Same thing with the communion. They're all on the tables. But yeah, welcome card is for our new guests, and prayer card is for everybody. So, let's greet each other. Yeah, everybody stand up and and let's worship. Yeah.
Some hugging and high-fiving.
Go ahead.
Walking
this part. Come on.
If he goes to the left, then we're going to the left. And if he goes to the right, then we're going to the right. We're gonna jump, 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 jump in the river. Jump, 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 everybody. If he goes to the left, then we're going to the left. And if he goes to the right, then we're going to the right. We're gonna dance, 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 dance in the river. Dance, 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 yeah. If he goes to the left, then we're going to the left. And if he goes to the right, then we're going to the right. We're gonna jump, 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 jump in the river. Jump, 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 jump. Oh, if he goes to the left, then we're going to the left. And if he goes to the right, then we're going to the right. We're gonna dance, 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 dance in the river. Dance, dance. Deep cries out, deep cries out to you. Deep cries out, deep cries out to you. We cry out to you, Jesus. Who deep cries out to you. Deep cries out to you. We cry out to you, Jesus. Darkness, you reached out to save us. You conquered the grave, you crossed the divide, lost in our sin, you made us alive. How can we ever hold it inside? We can't hold back. We're gonna lift you higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Oh, we're never gonna stop singing. Set free, no longer bound in chains. And you rescued me and called me by name. And you conquered the grave, you crossed the divide, lost in our sin, you made us alive. How can we ever hold it inside? We can't hold back. We're gonna lift you higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Ooh, we're never gonna stop. Higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Ooh, never gonna stop singing. Every tribe, every tongue, every heart will sing. Every knee we will bow to the risen King. Lift him up, we're never gonna stop singing.
great love could not be
stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good father. It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. 'Cause you are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. So perfect. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You're good, Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're good, Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. 'Cause you are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. I know you are perfect in all of your ways. It's who you are. Perfect in all of your ways. Perfect in all of your ways. Perfect in all of your ways.
Good morning, church. So, I feel like I've been on this Yeah, you may be seated. I feel like I've been on this kind of trend lately of where God's been really working through my life of faith in Him. And I know I've shared on that a little bit other times I've been up here, but it happened again yesterday. So, yesterday it was hard, but yet I didn't even realize it, and then I did, and then, it started out, I'm getting ready to leave the house. I had to work yesterday, and as I'm playing with Addie, she, for all that we know, she had another minor seizure, and didn't really know what to do. It was a lot less than all the other ones have been, and so it was a relief in some point. Maybe I'm guessing it's because the medicine was doing something, but again, we had kind of had in our mind, oh, this wasn't going to happen again. It was going to, it was over. The medicine take care of it, God take care of it. It all just worked together, and it didn't. And then I left. I had to go to work, and I didn't realize I was struggling with it all day, but my head was just completely not in work. It was just, I wasn't focused. I was frustrated at everything, and I couldn't place it because I was so focused on the task at hand. And later that evening, like 10 hours later, I finally had a moment to just not think about anything, and it kind of just came overwhelming me, like what do I do? Actually, in my work too, I was driving around Tucson, and I ran into a car and just parked on the side of the road. Like, I was trying to parallel park, and again, my brain was just out of it, and I hit that, and I'm just like, now I'm just frustrated at that, and it was just a frustrating day. And I get in the car after I kind of had all this churning through my brain, and I turn on some worship music, and God just started speaking to me, and the song came on talking about is it Romans, or talking about how all things work together for good. And it just hit me that God's going to do something crazy through all these situations. We always see it after and are thankful for it, but I know, and I feel like I've even said this before, but us as humans have to keep being reminded how good God is. And how powerful He is. God is bigger than our problems. He's bigger than our problems, no matter how big they are. The moment that we can realize that God is bigger than every problem that we ever have facing us, then that just kind of takes it away. And as I'm just crying out to God, and just but bringing that to communion, like that's our day-to-day lives. Our day-to-day lives, He's done such great and powerful things. He works through our great and problems. But we don't stop and think about the fact that the biggest problem that we had as a human race was sin. And Jesus came and died on the cross for us to take away our biggest problem. And yet we can still get so sidetracked in all the little stuff, little stuff. So, it's just such a wonderful reminder of how good God is, and how He's given His Son for us. Dear Jesus, I thank You for that sacrifice. I thank You for allowing us to become priests and be able to come to You directly, You have forgiven our sins, You have cleansed us, that we can come boldly before You, that we can have that You are a faithful God, a trustworthy God. We can put all our trust in You with the utmost confidence, God. Thank You, in Jesus' name. Offering boxes and communion is on the tables on either side of the room.
you gave. Your body was broken, your love poured out. You bled and you died for me there on the cross. And you breathed your last as you were crucified. And you gave it all for me. Hallelujah, what a Savior. Hallelujah, what a friend. Hallelujah, King forever. And we thank you for the They're in the ground, sealed in the darkness, lifelessly. The frame of the Father, Son in agony. And he watched his only Son be sacrificed. And he gave it all for me. Yeah. Hallelujah, what a Savior. Hallelujah, what a friend. Hallelujah, King forever. And we thank you for the cross. But on that day, what seemed as the darkest hour of violent hope broke through and shook the ground, and as you rose, all the light of all the world was magnified. As you rose in victory, yeah. Hallelujah, it is finished. Hallelujah, it is done. Hallelujah, King forever. And we thank you for the cross. Hallelujah, it is finished by your blood. Hallelujah, it is done. It is done. Oh, hallelujah, King forever. And we thank you for the cross. Yeah. Oh, we thank you for the cross. All my sins are forgiven. You paid the ransom for me. All my sins are scarlet. You have made us white as the snow. Though my sins are scarlet, oh, you've made us white as snow.
have video announcements. You may be seated as well.
Good morning, Rock Church. I'm Chandler.
And I'm Allie.
And welcome to Video Announcements. We have welcome cards where you can sign up for the Rock Report or update your information. And on the back of the welcome card is also a prayer card, so you can fill out a prayer request to have someone from church pray for you.
We also have testimony cards, so if God has done something great in your life, we'd love to hear about it. You can be sure to fill both the testimony card out and the prayer card and put them in the offering boxes when done.
March 18th, we have our Discover the Rock class at 12:30 p.m. at the ranch. Please see Jim Parker for more details.
If you've missed a Sunday or can't make it, check out our new YouTube channel, The Rock Church of Sarita, where you can view live sermons or previous messages. You can also check out our website, therockofsarita.com.
On our website, you can view the different types of missionaries we support, as well as give your tithe or offering online.
This month is March Missions Month. Please join us for a midweek service to hear from Pastor Michael Howard from Shekinah Ministries in Africa, Tuesday, March 27th, starting at 6:30 p.m. at the ranch.
The Rock Live is a 10-minute devotional Tuesday through Thursday on our Facebook page at 7 a.m.
If you would like to get involved or find out how to serve, email info@therockofsarita.com.
Forget the jokes. April 1st is Easter Sunday. This is a great opportunity to invite those close to you. Hope to see you there.
Join us
for prayer on Wednesdays
at 9:30 a.m. at the ranch.
And Sundays at 9 a.m. at Copperview.
Now here's an update on Build to Build, Phase 2.
Good morning, everyone. You can see our total up there for this year so far, and then also for the project to date. And I just have a quick update today for you. The building team leadership, we just finished some letters that we had to write to the county in regards to where the entrance is and our address and our capacity numbers. So really exciting things, but important things, right? And so we have those done now, and we'll be getting those sent. And that's all I have for you. If you'll just continue to pray for our leadership as they're making decisions and working with a lot of other people to make this happen, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, you guys, we're privileged to have Jerry Peyton here with us from Sold No More, and you're going to hear his heart. Jerry, how long have you been with Sold No More? About 8 years, Sold No More, based out of right here in Tucson. So if you guys would just give it up for Jerry Peyton, he's going to come and share with us this morning.
I am excited to be here, so excited I came a month early. Some of you saw me a month ago. It's the 18th of February, it's the same Sunday, so I was here. But it's not just because of that. I've been here before when you're over in the performing arts, doing that. But also, the fact that you guys are involved with us and your partner and support us financially is really cool, but the way you do it is so unique. Nobody else does it like you. Nobody. The check we get each month is different every month, and it's the only one that has cents on it, dollars and cents. Which we love, because that means this is not just a habit, some budget thing that's automatically deducted every month from your account. This is something that you give to because you believe God calls you to do that, and what God calls you to give, you give. Yes. Really, right? So we know it when we see it. It's like, wow, these people they're seeking God and they're responding to Him. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. By the way, I love your worship leaders team up here. All the young adults. It's exciting. I didn't realize most of them are related. Kind of like the Von Trapp family singers or something. I'm not sure. But anyway. Sold No More. I'm not going to talk a lot about Sold No More this morning. I'll say a few things about that. But yeah, we've gone almost 8 years now, and there's going to be some. Last year was a kind of blow out of the water year for us in a lot of ways, including financially, but in the number of kids we reached and the new partnerships were developed. But there's more going to happen this year that we'll going to be announcing in the next couple months, where the investment you made is being multiplied. Which is what God wants to do, right? You don't hold on to those seeds. You plant them. And see how they're going to multiply. And that's kind of what God's doing here. So yeah, we'll be getting those announcements out within the next 2 months of what's happening and how things are expanding and growing. Things don't always have to get bigger, but they do need to grow. If we don't grow, we die. We know that's true, right? How many of you have seen, okay, Liz, Lord of the Rings? You haven't seen the movies or read the books? Yes. Oh, gosh, we got people that haven't yet. You got to go check these things out. Got to go look at them. Back when they came out, I was pastoring a church up in Peyton, Arizona, and I was teaching the book of Ephesians, and I noticed as I looked at Ephesians as a whole book, the book of Ephesians is outlined the way the Lord of the Rings is, except kind of in reverse. I want you to look at this is a trailer for Lord of the Rings for the whole series, not just the first one, and see how they outline the book of Ephesians.
What must I do?
The ring must be destroyed.
The ring must be cast back into the fires of Mount Doom.
There is evil there that does not sleep.
Sauron's forces are already moving. They will find the ring and kill the one who carries it.
Go, run on! I cannot do this alone.
You have my sword.
And you have my bow.
And my axe.
This task was appointed to you, and if you do not find a way, no one will.
The enemy has many spies. Birds, beasts.
Something draws near. I can feel it.
Get off the road!
They are coming.
We must stand back! Wish the ring had never come to me.
Back, you devils!
Wish none of this had happened.
You will find your courage.
3. It's the book of Ephesians. It starts off with, well, what's the first one you saw there? You're chosen. It's Ephesians chapter 1 and 2. You used to be outside of Christ in the family of God. Now you have been chosen and brought into the family of God. You've now been made one with Christ. But then it shifts and it says, in order to live the way you're supposed to, what's the second thing? You need a fellowship. So you have there in Ephesians, above all else, maintain the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. There's that whole section on how we function as a body, as a fellowship. Without which, we're in deep trouble, because what's the third? The third thing?
Attack of the enemy.
Yeah. Evil will hunt you. Last part of Ephesians is about what we call spiritual warfare. All about the demonic powers and forces and the armor, the full armor. I thought it's pretty, by the way, The Lord of the Rings was written by a committed Christian, J.R.R. Tolkien. He's the one who takes biblical truth and put it into story. So I'm not just reading something into it. He knew exactly what he was doing. Okay. Power over predators is the new name for our prevention education in schools. Now, how does this relate to Lord of the Rings and the book of Ephesians? Well, this is another word for evil. Yep. Now, I'm going to talk about those three elements in reverse order, so we're going to start with the bad news, the really, really bad news. Evil is hunting you. Evil especially is attracted to destroy children and youth, especially. There's a Christmas card I've threatened. In fact, I kind of did this year for the first time. I put a picture on the Christmas card, a Christian artist. My wife kept saying, man, you can't put that on a Christmas card. It's a picture of a dragon who's about to devour a baby. Now, why would I put that on a Christmas card? That's what was happening on the first Christmas. It says in the book of Revelation that the great dragon was waiting for the child to be born, for the mother to give birth, that he might devour the child. He kind of missed him. He wiped out thousands of other kids in Bethlehem. He missed the child. He hates children, babies, kids, youth. They're so vulnerable. So we coddle the power over predators because we need to teach our children and our youth the strategies of the enemy. What did Paul say? We are not unaware of his tactics. Paul said that. We're not stupid. We're not foolish. The problem is, if you don't know the enemy's tactics, how does the Bible describe our enemy? What are some words the Bible uses? The devil. And what are his tactics?
Devouring, roaring lion.
He's like a roaring lion. I was about 20 yards from a roaring lion in Africa. In evening, it was getting dusk. When they roar, it goes 20, 25 miles. I'm only 20 yards. And you immediately freeze. The sound is amazing. Well, that's the object. Even prey freezes so that his female lioness can snatch him. He's a roaring lion. He wants to destroy. What's he called? Jesus said he is the father of lies. He's the great deceiver. And if you think you can't be deceived, you already have been. Most of us think, oh, you can't fool me. Really. I've been taken for a ride more than once. I know lots of person people have been taken for a ride. Absolutely deceived. And when we're young, we really think, you can't fool me. Which means we've already been fooled. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an enemy that's going after children, and he has all these tactics. But what if we don't train children and youth? One, who is the enemy? What do they look like, sound like, and what are their tactics? It's like Christians not knowing anything about Satan, nothing about the armor of God, and we expect to survive. Doesn't work. Try going into combat without the training, without the weapons, it just doesn't work. So that's what we're doing. And since we started about 4 years ago in the schools, we've talked about 35,000 kids. Yeah, wow. Last semester, during 2 months alone, we talked to 5,000 kids, 120 presentations, and that's my daughter doing 80% of them and me doing about 20. That's impossible. Because in the summer of last year, we released Power Over Predators. We'd been using a program from elsewhere and we didn't like it. It was old, outdated, so we developed our own, which can constantly be changed. And we launched it in the summer of last year and trained about 40 professionals. It just kind of took off. TUSD alone purchased 40 copies, then had us train 120 teachers, principals, counselors, which is why it took off. Now, why is it taking off? Okay. Yeah, there is a need. We need to know our enemy. And adults are beginning to become aware that we're not teaching our kids how to identify and know their enemy. How many, I don't know about the adults here, how many of you have seen either the Hunger Games or read, okay, a lot of the adults have. I refused for a while. But every kid I knew was watching, so I had to go on it. Now, we ask students the question. You know, Hunger Games, you have these youth that are selected out of each of these zones to compete in this big wilderness area, and the goal is you kill everybody else or you're killed. I know I'm going to watch this, a movie about kids killing kids. That is gross. The question is, we ask the students, what if you were selected for the Hunger Games, you were in the Hunger Games, quote, arena, but you didn't know it? How long would you last? Yeah, 10 minutes. Well, what if you knew you were in the Hunger Games, you knew you had been selected, there you are, but you don't know who your enemies are and you have no clue what weapons they have? How long would you last? You simply can't. You have to learn not only your own weapons, but the weapons of your enemies, or you can't make it. Well, what if you are in the Hunger Games? Every child, every youth is in the Hunger Games.
That's right.
Right now. They just don't know it. In fact, it's constant. We have predators now hitting on our children 24/7. Now, I'm not exaggerating, 24/7. During our assemblies, during our classrooms, we have kids coming up saying, look what I just caught on my cell phone. Is this what you're talking about? I said, who is it? I don't know. What's he asking? For a picture. It's a predator. Happens during school. It happens at home. It happens on vacation. It happens all the time. But if we don't know we're in it, we're sitting ducks. Okay. First time we talked in a school of middle school students, did 700 kids, 3 girls came forward, including this little 6th or 7th grader, saying, yeah, when I go home, my mommy's boyfriend pays me $20 and keeps me quiet that way. And do you know why? You know what was heartbreaking about this? She said, I guess that makes me a prostitute. She's feeling guilty and filled with shame and humiliation when it's somebody else who should be feeling that way. Why did she never tell anybody? It's too embarrassing. So they keep quiet. Well, we knew after the first school, and the principal of the school knew, he started calling other schools. And by the way, he became the head of all middle schools and has been promoting our program now for 4 years. Saying, look, you got kids in your school going home and being abused, and you have no clue. They just show up every day, and you can't see it. Okay. This was a year and a half ago. A Hispanic girl came up. She was in the country illegally, couldn't speak English. She's in high school. And through the interpreter, we had a bilingual presenter. Said, yeah, my mom used me to pay off the coyote, the smuggler. And I'm still paying. Now, is she going to go to law enforcement? No, she's illegal. She can't speak English. So, welcome to America. That's a little 16-year-old girl. Okay. This was a whole middle school where the girls came up afterwards, 2 or 3 of them, talking to my daughter who gives our presentations. She said, hey, in our school, almost all the students, we have our own webpage, and that's where we all post our videos of having sex with each other, and we rate each other's performance. And I'm not talking normal stuff. This isn't even Playboy stuff. This is hardcore, abusive, violent stuff. These are middle school kids. And the girl said, you know, we don't want to participate. But because we don't, we get harassed every day, we get threatened, and we get sent nudes constantly. Now, we have to report this. It's not that way at that school anymore. Another school reported, they came in 3 months later, fired the principal and half the staff. Because the students had been reporting this and know anything about it. Well, we report it. Well, that school's different. We've been back. Now, you've heard about schools like this. It was in the national news in Florida, the national news in Colorado, whole schools where the kids are doing this. It's happening here. By the way, we have commercial sex going on in school bathrooms during school day. It's not unusual anymore. Teachers aren't allowed to go in the bathrooms. It's a violation of privacy rights. Yeah. So I know some students who don't go to the bathroom in school because they don't want to walk in on that stuff. Now, I don't know about you. I mean, I didn't go to a Christian school, but this kind of stuff is so bizarre. Because we think we live in America and it doesn't happen here. Okay. How does God see children? This is Jesus speaking, by the way. It would be better to be thrown into the sea with a millstone hung around your neck than to cause one of these little ones to fall into sin. There are a lot of predators out there that wish they'd never been born. When they stand, I mean, you know, you abuse my child and you come in front of me, but you come in front of God and you've been abusing his children by the millions. I wish you'd never been born. That's how God views children, and that's how God wants us to view them. I have to admit, you know, I have 3 kids, 10 grandkids, and 4 great-grandchildren. You know, we're prolific. And we got a great family because we have 200% Ethiopians, 50% Chinese, 50% Hispanics. So when we all get together, it's a hoot. Yeah. But for me, I've begun to see children differently. I love kids and I love to look at them, but I always have this gut check feeling of how many of them are being abused right now? How many of them are living a secret life? Okay. How many know who she is? Rachel Joy Scott. Columbine. The first one shot because she was an outspoken Christian young woman who had blogged and written all about it. She wasn't ashamed to be, to name the name of Jesus, be a Christian. So when the guys with the rifles, by the way, when in the history of the world have we had students going to school shooting students? I mean, this is just astronomically nuts. Unless you understand evil. It's evil. Kids killing kids. Well, they're in there with the rifles, all the kids on the floor. Anybody in here believe in God? Anybody here a Christian? She stood up and said, yes, I do. Last thing she said. But they discovered this poem she had written earlier. They weren't sure why she wrote it, but I want you to read it. I'm drowning in my own lake of despair. I'm choking, my hands wrapped around my neck. I'm dying. Quickly, my soul leaves. Slowly, my body withers. It isn't suicide. I consider it homicide. The world you created has led to my death. Now, by the way, she was a standout student and one of the leaders in her church youth group. Now, you look at that picture, does it go with that poem? See, we look at those young adults and we just say, wow, without wondering what is really going on. Suicide, you know, is the #1 killer of kids, apart from car wrecks. And it's increasing like crazy. I mean, it's happening in Tucson on a regular basis. At the very time of life when it's supposed to be full of adventure and fun and sports and activities and travel, they're killing themselves. The world you created has led to my death. That's the world the adults have created. Kids don't create these worlds. The adults do. Okay. Why? 30 to 40% of girls, these are the most moderate statistics you'll find. 13% of boys, and we believe that's much higher, will be sexually abused before they turn 18. Have we ever had an epidemic in the history of this country where 30 to 40% of our girls are becoming sick, dying, being preyed upon? No, ever, never. 30 to 40% by the time they're 18? 1 in 4 college co-eds, including U of A, will be raped or attempted rape while they're in school. I went to school in the 60s at the U of A, the roaring 60s, you know, sex, love, sex, drugs, rock and roll. It was crazy. But the girls I knew walked around campus by themselves, even at night. I go to the U of A now, I help teach a class on sex trafficking. Girls don't walk around by themselves. They don't go around at night, and they carry protection. In fact, you get free protection in classrooms if you're co-ed. I asked the guys in the class, I said, do you carry protection? Oh, no. What's wrong with this? Women aren't free in America anymore. They're not. They can't just go where they want and do what they want because they're being preyed upon. This is wrong. And by the way, men, we're the ones that have to turn this around. They're looking for us to do that, which means we can't stay silent. Okay. 1 in 5 high school girls are physically or sexually abused by a dating partner. 1 in 5. And by the way, Tucson is 100% more. Don't know why. It is not a safe place for kids, especially young girls. It's just not. Okay. How big is this in the U.S.? I don't want to, there's 2 statistics I'll give you. They did a survey, by the way, back in 1995, and 3.5% of teenagers in America said they were involved in commercial sex, exchanging sex for money or drugs. That would be about 850,000 teens in 95. What did we not have in 95 we have today with teens? Internet, smartphones, social media. Guess what has exploded the sexual abuse of kids? Internet, smartphones, and social media. Now, why have we not done a national survey since 95 and 96? I don't know. But I want you to pray about this. We have been engaged with the Barna Group for now 4 months to come up with the next national survey. Real legal problems now we didn't used to have, but we think we found a way to finally do it. It's going to be millions. It's not going to be 150,000. It's going to be millions. Maybe we haven't done it because nobody wants to know just how bad it is. It's the fastest growing crime in the world. Fastest growing. It's second now only to the international drug trade. It's surpassed the international arms trade. It's just exploding because the internet's everywhere all the time. What about Tucson? You take those same statistics, bring them to Tucson, that'd be over 2,000 teens here in 95. Not today. It's going to be way more than 2,000. We do it again. Okay. The Justice Department has said there's an endless supply of victims. And Homeland Security Director said we cannot arrest our way out of this problem. Law enforcement can't stop it. I think we're gonna hear that here. Okay. This is the Assistant FBI Director. I know the FBI is being criticized like crazy, but this is just 30 seconds, but hear what he has to say. Go ahead. Uh-oh, it froze. Can you just go to the next slide then? Poor Liz, because they had this problem earlier and they got it all worked out. We've had the same problem. It works out until you start your presentation and it stops. Yeah. By the way, what he says on there, he says we've always had sex trafficking, we've always had abuse, but the sexual abuse and exploitation of children in America is unprecedented and has reached an epidemic level. So the pedophilia, the abuse, the trafficking is totally out of control. I just wanted you to hear him say it instead of me. This is Tucson Police Department. 1 in 5 of your children will be solicited online. That means they weren't looking for it, it's looking for them. Happened to my 6-year-old grandson on the floor playing Mario Brothers on his laptop. I was at my desk with my laptop, and pretty soon I noticed he's just staring. It sounded a little weird, so I bent down and looked. It's pornographic Mario Brothers. Yeah. He was playing regular Mario Brothers. He's really smart. I mean, he's really smart. Pop-up ad shows up for a different version. He pops on it. Poof, it's pornographic. By the way, they use My Little Pony sites, Disney sites, fake ones. They changed one word. So kids think they're logging on to a kid's thing, and they're 10 years old now is the average age when a child is first exposed to hardcore violent pornography. 10. It's going after them. Why? The developing brain can be addicted so quickly. And when it is, it's addicted for life. Why do you think the tobacco companies went after youth 20 and 30 years ago? Because their brain dumps 4 times the dopamine, which is that feel-good drug, that it does for someone who's 20. It peaks when you're 15. And if you hook them when they're that age, you've got a customer for life. Our children are the #1 commodity on the internet. They got them for life. Now, I know I'm talking to a lot of parents and adults because we're the ones that have to step in here. Children didn't. When I talk to teenagers, go through some of this stuff, I look at them, I said, you know, I'm really sorry. You didn't ask for this stuff, and you didn't create it. We did, the adults. We created it, and we're pushing it on you. We're making you think you want it. Why? We want to use you. Kids did not create this stuff, but they've been sucked into it. Okay. Teen porn. Child pornography is a bad word, so they call it teen porn. If you Google that, you get 16 million hits. 300% increase in those years. It's 500,000 searches a day. It's the fastest genre online. And now teens don't regard it as porn either. It's becoming normalized. Okay. This is in Tucson. Back in 2014, a man was arrested. They caught him for internet child porn production and distribution. 228 minors he used in 39 states, in 23 other countries, because he does it digitally. Mostly boys from 3 to 17. 27,000 paying customers. It's one guy in Tucson. Well, we just put in prison one of the most well-known, beloved athletic physicians in the United States. How many images did he have on his computer of children porn? 37,000. How many young women did he abuse? Over 250. And by the way, these were not weak, wilting flower, insecure, low self-esteem girls. These were not vulnerable girls. Who were the girls he abused? The most dominant, aggressive, assertive, self-confident women in the world. They're all world class, gold medalists, national champions. If you think only certain kind of girls are vulnerable to this, think again. My daughter was sex trafficked in Tucson when she was 14. And I was a pastor at Christ Community Church. Christian home, honor student, president of our class, piano champion, leader in the youth group. We sit here thinking it's just not going to happen to me. Not my school, not my kid, not my church. It does. Okay. This was just last year. There were 4 men. They posed as girls. They used those images to lure in boys. They recorded what the boys were doing online. I'm not going to detail it in here, but online sex is not virtual. It's real. They produced all these porn videos. The boys who didn't want to get involved, the Wolfpack, I saw someone at the Wolfpack t-shirt. What's a Wolfpack do? They gang up on you. And they never turn loose till they give in. One of the guys has 17,000 images, 17,000 videos, 10,000 images. They pose as girls. Hook these guys. They do stuff online. They film what the boys are doing. Then they produce pornography out of it. And then they force the boys to do what they want them to do. Or they're going to release the videos publicly. Okay. This is a professor in London. He said more babies and toddlers are appearing on the net and the abuse is getting worse. He is saying babies and toddlers. Infants. Okay. He says more torturous and sadistic than it was before. Demand for pornographic images of babies and toddlers on the internet is soaring. I don't know about you, but it's hell turned loose. My father liberated the concentration camps at Dachau during World War II. Took me there, my brothers, when I was a teenager. He spoke about the Holocaust the last 15, 20 years of his life. So I've studied it, seen the films, read books. I mean, it's just horrid. This is no less horrid. They literally are torturing sexually infants and babies while people watch and pay money to watch. In America. Sometimes the parents are the ones who are doing it to make money. Although he was speaking from London, okay? This is Arizona in 2015. 15,000 known cases. 65% are 11 or younger. 9% are infants. And the abusers are actively using porn, most of them. Now, when it says known cases, that means they have all the images and videos and they know who produced them. They have the names of the producers, they have them. 15,000 cases. Guess why there was that many? How many law enforcement agents did they have in the state of Arizona to deal with 15,000 cases? 3. Each can handle 35 cases a year. That's 100 out of 15,000. Legislation in 2016 was passed in Arizona. They cut loose $1 million to hire 4 more. Great, now we can do 200 or 300 a year. Do you think these producers don't know this? This is just known case. They have the evidence. They could arrest them and convict them at any time, but they don't have the resources to investigate and to adjudicate the cases. It's totally out of control. So don't go around blaming law enforcement. Why aren't they doing something about this? It's kind of like treating the plague with, first aid. It's not going to stop it. Okay. I want to look at a video and then we'll kind of shift gears here. By Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore. Are these Christians? No, they're not. Do we partner with them? Yes, we do. Because they're fighting the same thing. But I want to hear a little bit of what they have to say about it. Let's see if this one works.
What I've seen makes you question humanity.
Child pornography is an issue that has evolved. By 1990 or so, we thought the problem had disappeared. And then came the internet. And with the internet, the problem exploded.
because of the communication that exists, because of technology and the internet, you meet a stranger that has a similar interest to you, and next thing you know, you're sharing content around that particular interest. Well, that might happen with cars, and that might happen with hobbies, but it also happens with child pornography and human trafficking of underage children.
In 2004, when the National Center was receiving reports of potential child pornography, the volume was approximately 450,000 files. Recently, that number has expanded, and we've now received over 17 million.
The age of children is becoming increasingly younger, and it's more and more likely that individuals have not only child pornography, but child pornography with violent themes.
Pimps and traffickers no longer have to just, work the street. They can just place an ad and sit back and have their customers come to them wherever they might be.
It's really impossible for law enforcement to deal with this issue alone. We can't arrest our way out of it.
In this country, it is somewhat of an invisible issue, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and that doesn't mean it isn't someone's daughter. It isn't someone's sister.
All you want to do is give them a hug and make them feel like it's okay. And you feel like you can't even give them a hug because that's the exact thing that stole a piece of their innocence away.
The name thorn itself has a beautiful connotation. Thorns protect the rose. And the rose here are our children and their futures.
This is a new study that came out in 2016, and Thorne helped produce this on what's called sextortion. It's a new term, not made up. It's how predators are using these images that kids send. It's called sexting. They use their, by the way, we call them cell phones, smartphones. Kids don't talk on them. They're not phones. I've seen walk around schools and they all have a phone. No one's talking. They're texting. They don't talk. But they use them to take pictures of themselves, and they send those pictures to someone else. Nude, semi-nude photographs. By the way, how many of you, when you were 16, would have taken a nude picture of yourself and given it to somebody else? Nobody in their right mind ever did that. Now about 70% of our teenagers do. It's become normalized. It's common. They go, oh yeah, it's sexting. One thing we tell teenagers, well, number one is a felony. For an adult, it's 7 years per image. Wow. If you're 18. For a child, it's 1 year in detention, juvenile detention, and you lose scholarships. We know a guy at Cienega lost his West Point Academy appointment. Guy lost the NFL contract. Teachers have been fired because of these things getting out there. You can't go into education, you can't go into law, you can't go into government, you can't go into military because you can be extorted. So all these kids are ruining their futures. Well, they did a study on kids who had been sextorted. We don't know the number yet on how many have. We're checking into that as well. What is sextortion? Next one. You threaten someone to expose their images. You say you'll post it online, you'll send it to their family and friends, and you'll include your name and address. If you don't do what they want. It's extortion, right? What do they want? More images. More graphic. They want you to perform sex. And if you say, I'm not doing that, I'll give you 2 hours, and that picture of you is going to go viral. All through your school. 44% of the time, they do what they threaten to do. So we have kids committing suicide because of it, having to move out of state because of it, leave their schools and drop out because of it. If you read that report, we have lots of copies of it. It breaks your heart because they're all telling what happened to their lives. And all they did was send a picture to a boyfriend. And they're destroyed. They don't have to groom girls anymore. You don't have to spend time getting to know them. All you need is one picture. And if they don't produce what you want, you'll expose them. Because what do we tell kids when that happens? You immediately pick up the phone, we give them phone numbers to call, you report it, because that person is going to get a visit from a law enforcement officer who lets them know they just commit a felony. They want all the images they have. If they ever do that, then it's another felony. That's the only way you can stop it. Those threats, if you go to law enforcement, get stopped. If you don't, they never stop. Okay. Fellowship will protect you. The last thing we talk about when we go to students, in fact, it's the whole, we do 3 classrooms, it's the whole 3rd classroom. We do an assembly, it's the end of the assembly. I'm telling you, we're doing Lord of the Rings in reverse, right? Where evil will haunt you, a fellowship will protect you. And we try to challenge students, look, it's not going to stop in your school unless you as students band together to stop it. Because quite frankly, as you know, the teachers don't have a clue what's going on. Neither do your parents. So I don't either. Except I hear from a lot of kids. You know who's doing what to whom. You see it. You know who's threatening somebody. You read it. You know who's taking pictures and sending them. You know who's sending you those pictures. My daughter, who's talked herself to over 20,000 kids over a period of 15 years, has 3 kids. And the youngest is a sophomore who dropped out of school this year. You know why? They finally got him a smartphone. Turned 16, he's driving, he needed a phone. This kid is so handsome. It's ridiculous. He's 6'4", he's the best long jumper in the state of Arizona, made it to the National Junior Olympics. He's getting nudes sent to him every day. And she had all the blocking devices on his phone. Parents, I got news for you, none of them work. Not coveting eyes, none of them. Kids have online things they can go to tell them how to get around anything. We started calling these people saying, hey, what's with your product? Oh, well, we can't block those. So this kid, literally, this is my grandson, said, I can't take this anymore. He dropped out of school. He's doing online school. Not sure what he'll do in the next semester. So we talk about how do you build healthy relationships so you have a fellowship, you have people who are protecting each other. You know, the fellowship of 9 and the 3, if they weren't supplying the sword and the axe and the bow, we're all cooked. I need you, you need me, we need each other. You're not going to survive this on your own. I survived the University of Arizona in the 60s by living with 12 Christian men who were students. We had our own house. We all spent time with the same gals. By the way, 3 other guys in my house used to spend time with my wife that I married. We all knew each other. You couldn't get away with anything. We need it. We need that kind of protective fellowship. So we teach them how to do that next. We ask this question, if you're going to bake a cake, this is a cupcake, in terms of relationship, what do you need? What are you looking for in a really great, healthy relationship? We ask them those questions. Now, we've asked that question in church groups, parents, adults, and guess what? We get the same answers. I don't care whether you're a 6th grader or a 50-year-old. What are you looking for in a great relationship? We get the same answer. Here's the kind of answers we get. Kids aren't dumb. They say we want trust, unconditional love, want time together, respect, good communication, want to know the person. You can find all that in the Bible. Well, it's all straight out of the Bible. Right? That's what kids are looking for. That's what they want. What they're getting is garbage. So they start to go, wait a minute. So we talk about how do you bake a cake? What do you start with? The icing? That doesn't work. What if you get out of order? It'll flop. What if you miss an ingredient? It won't. You've got to follow the recipe. We teach them about the recipe. By the way, where did we get the recipe? The Bible. I'm telling you, I've been talking to students in schools since the 60s. I started going around to colleges and speaking about sexuality. I have never experienced the open doors I'm experiencing now in my life, ever. Why? They've never heard this. They've never heard this. And they realize, wait a minute, man, we're getting ripped off. I want this. I'm not going to get it the way the internet and everyone's telling me to get it. You see the lights come on. I mean, okay, next one. About finished here. We tell them, hey, we're threatened with the loss of love in a world where only love brings happiness. We have eaten the sexual junk food and become sexually obese. We have missed the feast. That sex was supposed to be, love is the feast. Don't miss the feast. This isn't a slide we use with kids, by the way. Yeah. But boy, that's the truth right there. What are they looking for? Love. That's what I want. I've been married 49 years, man. Nice. It's more than nice. It's awesome. My wife was a homecoming queen at Sunnyside in high school and had a voice that could shatter glass and melt hearts, and she's still that way. We're looking for love, man. We're looking for real love that lasts, that's real, that's mutual, that doesn't abuse and take advantage of. Why? Because that's the way God made us. We're made in the image of God. I don't care who they are, where they're born. They're all looking for this. But we're getting sold junk food. It's garbage. It's destroying us. Don't settle for junk food. Don't you really want love? Yeah, they do. I don't care what they're... Okay. So here's how we end. We end our presentation with, you're chosen. Yeah, there's evil hunting you, and you're going to need a fellowship to support and protect you, to be a part of. And you're going to need to protect other people. By the way, I didn't mention that. When you see someone being abused, you see that text, you hear that going on, if you don't speak up, you are part of the abuse. Now, kids, I know this is tough in school. You feel like if I speak up, I'm going to be an outsider. I'm going to be a narc, a cop. I just can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I know it's tough. When I was on Tucson Fire Department, I did that to help launch a church called The Vineyard for 6 years. Tucson Fire Department, Police Department decided to go on strike. One, that's illegal because people die. Two, we signed a no-strike contract. And three, the governor and mayor said it was illegal for us to strike. So I said, I can't do that. I was the only firefighter who didn't. I got a phone call while I'm at the station. I couldn't go home during the entire strike, 24/7, had to be there. My wife had a 3-day-old baby at home and 2 other kids. I got a phone call threatening to burn my house down. With my wife and kids in it. I had to move them out of town to an undisclosed location. And when it was over, they were bound and determined to run me off the department, which they didn't succeed in. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy to stand up, but I'm telling you, you have to if you want to see it change. Years later, I had firemen and policemen coming up to me, even 10 years later, saying, you know, Jerry, you were right. We should never have done that. People died. I listened to a 5-year-old die in a swimming pool because the rescue truck, which was 2 blocks away, there was nobody there. It took half an hour to get an ambulance. People died. There's no money worth that. People in your school are dying. They're like Rachel Joy Scott. They might look okay, but they're dying inside, and a lot of them are killing themselves. And if you see stuff going on and you don't speak out, if you hear a kid's going to run away, most victims are runaways. You don't keep quiet about it if you love them. They might hate you for a while. You don't. And that's tough. Every person has the same value. Nothing changes your value. Not your choices. Not if you've been abused. The things in your past do not define you. Now, we don't just say that. Because guess what? Most of us in this room don't believe that. We still feel guilty about stuff we did in the past. We still think I can't do this because of what I did. God doesn't, whatever, God can't use me. What does the Bible say God does with sin? As far as the east and west, deepest sea, I remember your sins no more. Why do we? For heaven's sakes. Oh God, I'm so sorry. You told me that 3 weeks ago. we give this message. This is a biblical message to kids in schools. Whatever's happened to you, whatever you've done, whatever choices you make, it doesn't define who you are. You are, in fact, go ahead, the next one, last one. Truth is, all right. Okay, Liz, last. There it is. You're priceless. That's why we're called sold no more. You are not for sale. No one could afford to buy you because you're priceless. No human being's for sale. You can't put a value on a human life. I don't know if you saw, you can go to see it on our website, soldnomore.org. We've had, 30 or 40 news interviews and all that stuff. They finally filmed my daughter giving a presentation at South Point. I think it was November. And no, it was earlier this year, sorry. And the guy was a new reporter, he'd never seen it before. He was so blown away by the presentation, he filmed the whole thing. And then he interviews afterwards, and in his report that came out in the news that evening about her, he said, she experienced this as a child, but instead of focusing on bad things that happened in her life and how horrible it all is, she told the students, and he shows this slide. And he shows her speaking, said that the person you're sitting next to, talking to the kids, is a priceless human being. They have infinite value and worth. And so are you. And the kids kind of look at each other, they kind of giggle. High school kids. And the reporter afterwards told my daughter, he said, I've never heard that kind of message in my life. I wish I would have heard it when I was a teenager. He was only 25. By the way, he just interviewed us for an hour. It's going to be a special out in the middle of this month. Do you know that you and I have the privilege of telling kids, you're created with a purpose. You've been chosen. You are priceless. And it's a message they haven't heard before. Now, I'm not young. I'm not like my daughter. I'm not this attractive, cool young person. But I've had kids come up after a presentation and just grab me and hug me. Why? It's the image of God in them. When you speak the truth, there's something in them that says, this is what I want. So that's our calling. That's really what we're here to do. Yeah, we talk about sex trafficking, but this is really what we want to focus on, because this is the solution. If they don't know who they are, we sang that song, That's Who I Am. That's who you are. You're a good father, and I am what? Loved by you. They have to hear that message, because no one else has given it to them. But you can. And if they have that kind of relationship, they don't get sucked into the predatory behaviors. Whoa. You're not a good father. You're a predator. We teach them the signs and stuff. And I am loved. I am priceless. You can't buy me. That's what we're trying to communicate. Well, let's pray. Father, thank you so much that the message hasn't changed. It's the same from the very, very beginning. That you love us and you've given us incredible gifts and beauty in the world, and these phenomenal bodies. Adam and Eve had been awesome. But you warned them. There was evil. And you gave them each other to protect each other, but instead of protecting each other, they trip each other up. But you sent Jesus to bring it all back. And someday we will see all this evil gone. But in the meantime, Lord, we're to be salt and light in this darkness. No matter how dark it gets, in fact, if it gets darker, the light becomes more noticeable. So Lord, I just pray that you'd help each one of us become the light you called us to be, wherever we are, as parents, grandparents, teachers, students, brothers and sisters. Not just among our own group, but especially those out there who don't sing these songs about you, and they don't know that. Or that they would be able to see in us the love that they're looking for. And as Paul said, they would ask us questions about that and give us the opportunity. So I would just pray for that the darkness would stop growing, that the light would shine all the brighter, and the day would come when children, especially and women, are not being abused like this, but can become the beautiful, amazing, gifted people you created them to be. Father, that's our prayer. And we want you to use us to do that. We just ask that in Christ's name. Amen.
Hey, prayer team, could you guys come up? Would you guys just stand with me, please? Prayer team, would you come up? And Jerry, yeah. I'm sure that something that was stated today possibly touched you. I was up here crying. Just watching some of those things and just hearing them. You obviously, if you're a parent, you have your child in view in those predicaments. And if you were touched in any way, shape, or form, would you just come up here and have prayer in whatever way, shape, form that means? But Jerry is going to be over in the welcome area. If you would like to go talk to him, go donate $20,000 to his ministry, whatever you feel led to do, please do so. But we're just going to have a time of prayer right now. And if you're going to hang out, just kind of keep quiet if you would, kindly. But this would conclude. If you feel led that you need to go and get to Taco Bell before everybody else does, that's fine. But if you want prayer, please make your way up here. And thank you guys for being here today.